Yeah, what is it?
Giovanni, oh yeah, here's the place. I haven't met you before. You, family? Member of family? Is that right? Hell of a family to be born into, or married into, or both. You have an invitation with you? Hey, don't worry about it. I'm sure they'll let you in. Just tell them you lost it. I lose things all the time.
Maria Rosalini.
Yes, what is it? She'll be fine after I get a pot of coffee in her. Well, she did pretty much cause the last function to come to a screeching halt. That woman has the self-control of a pubescent chimpanzee. Come on, Maria, we're going home.
Might as well be a costume party. Everyone's smiling, pretending this isn't a pageant put on by the patriarch of this family. Fine. But this is a contest, and I came to win. If you don't even know about the contest, then you really don't have to worry about winning it. The sarcophagus? I thought they closed that place down after they found that missing cheerleader doped up in the back. That was years ago, though, when I was in high school. Mira Giovanni. They gather us up here to decide just who's the best and brightest of this generation is. The lucky few are given the real power in this family. But some of us need to win more than others. Oh, forget it. You wouldn't understand. Uncle Bruno. Since I was a kid, he's been the patriarch of this family, except he hasn't aged a day. I met with a senator from Massachusetts who asked me if I was related to Bruno Giovanni. Said Uncle Bruno helped him with his first campaign back in 1950. We've all heard the rumors. The core of our family, they never age. They're secretive. Whispers of blood magic and a kiss. Whatever it is, they pick the very best of us for it. I'd do anything to be picked. I've made some errors in judgment, but I've lobbied hard for this family's interests. What? Forget it. I'm not saying anything about that. I just met you. I like you, but I can't tell anyone. It's too personal. Sometimes you do things you regret. And if someone here found out, they'd use it to destroy my chances at the family ever letting me into their inner circle. You couldn't possibly understand. I did something because it made me feel alive. If you've never tasted it, you wouldn't understand. But a few months ago, I shared a hit with somebody I thought was clean. I tested positive last week. I won't have to worry about this disease if the family accepts me into the inner circle. I won't have to worry about a thing ever. I'm on a lot of politicians' Christmas card lists, and this family knows I've swung a lot of votes for it. But I'll spare no expense for a lock. I want to be in that circle of power, and I won't let blood get in the way. And of course, when your time comes, I'll pay back the favor.
Hey there, Adam Dunser. I don't think we've met. You are? Victor, pleasure to meet you. What line of work are you in? Myself, I'm an investment banker. Great business, lot of potential. For example, I got the inside track on this company right now. And let me tell you, when this company goes public, everyone's going to wish they had a piece of it. Well, it's a biotech firm. You know, they're working on growing replacement organs. Really fascinating technology. In a couple of years, I'd bet everyone will be going to them for parts. I figure an investment of $50,000 could be easily tripled in 5 years. Do you have cash? Credit? We could set it up over the phone right now. You'd really be helping me out a lot and making a tidy profit to boot. It's just that business is a little slow lately, but you know how the economy is. It goes down, but it'll shoot right back up again. And this is the horse to bet on, I guarantee it. Most people here, they've got cash they don't know what to do with. And if one of us falls on hard times, don't you think as family, they're obligated to help him out? Besides, I get the kiss tonight. Everyone will be investing with me. In fact, If I could ensure my place at the grown-ups table by, say, drawing some attention away from my financial shortcomings, I'd be guaranteed the kiss. Know any dirt about the others I could use? I can't pay you, but I got this watch and this ring.
What? Oh, sure. Family events. How many more of these do we have to attend before we're taken seriously? I mean, honestly. They're pitting us against our own flesh and blood for the privilege of joining the power clique. All you hear is, what have you done? How much did you make? Who do you know? You can't tell anyone anything, because they might use it against you. The heart says no, but the businessman in me tells me to smear them into the ground. I guess I would. And I know they'd probably do the same. Yeah, I guess I would. I don't even know who you are. I'm Chris Giovanni, by the way. Call me paranoid, but how do I know I can trust you? You go first. If it's anything like mine, I'll tell you what's bothering me. Really? In this family, that kind of thing can get you excommunicated if you're not careful. Well, all right. You want to know what's on my mind? I'll tell you. I found out a few months ago. My mother had an affair before I was born. Turns out my father isn't a Giovanni at all. My real father's this writer named Michael Avalon. If anyone found out, well, I might never rise up in this family.
Oh, hello again. Yes? Adam broke. A few years ago, they did an article on him in the business section. Money's practically more important than God to this family. I'll make sure Uncle Bruno somehow overhears this. Take this. It's more than Adam's worth. Aunt Cecilia had an affair? If Chris isn't really a Giovanni, it won't sit well at all with Bruno. So sorry, cousin. Here, these bills represent Chris's entire future. Spend them wisely. For your assistance, you can be certain that, when I have my way, I'll bring you into the fold. If you wish. All I have to do is set the rumor mill in motion, and I'm as good as in. Excuse me. Hi. I'm, Nadia Milliner. It's a pleasure to meet you, Victor. Are you from the Chicago Rosalinis? Oh, you must give my regards to Great Aunt Frances when you get back. I stayed with her last time I was out that way. She was very sweet to me. I'm working on my master's out here. I'm from back east. The Giovannis have been nice enough to let me stay here while I finish up my studies. I've learned a great deal from them, like you wouldn't believe. I really can't say much about that. There's something I want to show you, but you absolutely can't tell anyone, even other people here, okay? Follow me. You know what they do in this room? Mm-hmm. Know what they do with the corpses? I shouldn't do this, but why don't I show you? Gets pretty weird from here. Don't say I didn't warn you. Oh, and be ready to run. You'll understand when it happens. Follow me. I don't know what happened back there, but I know a way through this next part. Can you believe all this? This is like something out of a horror movie. Oh, here it is. We should be safe from here on. This way.
Kindred, your presence here violates the agreement between our leaders. Leave now, or face the consequences of your actions. There is an alliance between your leader LaCroix and Mistress Ming Zhao. You violate the agreement. If you do not leave, we are not responsible for your death. We'll give you one more chance to leave this place and keep your life. You will go? The time for decisions has passed. We Chang brothers accept your life graciously.
My Wunderkind returns. In my entire court, I knew there was only one who could have succeeded in this task. Finally, the Ankaran sarcophagus is ours. Come, I've granted Beckett's request to study and document all the markings of the sarcophagus. You've met Beckett, haven't you? Let's go take a look inside and see what the commotion around the city has really been all about. What? Preposterous! No kindred would trust them, nor would they trust us. Did Jack tell you that? Because it sounds like you've been taken for a fool. And you believed them. They've been trying to take over LA for years. It's a ruse, a falsehood, spread to undermine my rule and turn kindred against each other, thin our ranks. They are duplicitous, evil creatures. Did they not try to kill you? Insurance. They lied to you in case you lived through the encounter. They hoped to create dissension in the ranks, rumors. It's a trick older than you or I. What have you assessed so far?
Unfortunately for the Heralds of Doom, it appears we won't be opening Pandora's box. The markings, as far as I can tell, are of Assyrian origin. An extraordinary piece, but nothing earth-shattering.
I see. Then there is no good reason why we shouldn't open it. Won't budge. Beckett, do you see any mechanism for the lid?
I haven't as yet had a chance to pore over it with my fine-tooth comb. I think I have one in my bag.
Why won't it open, Beckett? And you, I thought you said it looked as if it had been opened on the Dane. I want it open! You and Beckett, figure out a way to open it. I need to know what's inside. I have other matters to attend to. Come get me when a solution has been found.
Ah, the depths to which I'll sink to prove others wrong. The young ones get so temperamental. Fortunately for Sebastian, is it? I'd already made up my mind to open the sarcophagus, if only to show the city that Gehenna, contrary to popular belief, has not begun. Being that this is the first of its kind that I've ever seen, your guess is as good as mine. In the last few seconds, I've had very few epiphanies. I may be old, but I didn't build it. How knowledgeable are you on ancient Assyrian funerary constructs? Fortunately for us, I know of someone who has distinguished himself in this field. His name is Dr. Anders Johansen, a professor of archaeology from Norway. He was the one responsible for finding the sarcophagus, and as far as I know, the only authority on its origin and design. Until yesterday, he could have been found in his suite at the Empire Hotel downtown. But when I stopped by earlier this evening, all I found was spilt coffee on a morning paper. Appears he's been abducted. I detected the scent of myrrh incense, which is usually burned in monasteries. Also, I found beach sand in part of a muddy footprint. Putting two and two together, I located a monastery near a beach in Malibu, where I believe hunters are holding Johansen captive. Actually, there were 2 hunters on the roof of the building opposite the hotel who were positively delighted to tell me everything they knew, provided I stopped dangling them head first over the side. The hunters abducted Dr. Johansen for his own protection, or at least that's how they've justified it. He's being held by the Society of Leopold and used, quite ingeniously, as bait for Prince Lacroix's minions. Sebastian mentioned you ran into one of the hunters from the Society of Leopold some time ago. They're so secret a church organization, I don't even think they know if they exist. But essentially they're murderers for Christ, or some such deity. You'll have to go to the monastery and find a way into the tunnels beneath where the hunters are holding Johansen. I'm afraid I can't accompany you, but then it's best you go alone. Too many of us might set them off. like fundamentalists on contrary opinion. I wouldn't recommend walking. Certainly Sebastian's already provided cab fare. I'm sure he always spares no expense when archaeology is at stake. Excellent. The Society, for the most part, knows very little about us, but they do know how to kill and torture us, and that's enough. Also, some of them exhibit powers that can make them quite formidable. Best not to announce yourself. Well, if we open it up and the world ends, then yes. If we open it up and the world does not end, then no. I'd wager the latter. How any sane kindred could think these poor unfortunates are an immediate threat to us is absurd. Most were afraid, or at the very least uneasy, around me. Tragic. Their desperation could very well hold the spark of revolution, however. I've said quite a lot about myself already. I know even less about you than you do me. Why don't you tell me about yourself? Then I'll let you in on a little secret. Beckett may not be the name I was born with. Events always seem to unfold wherever I go, like Chicago a few years ago. Oh, it's a bother to explain. Either I'm pursuing fate, or it's got a bone to pick with me. Unless you've got further questions, I'd really like to get back to looking at the sarcophagus. Excellent. Remember, Dr. Johansson is an innocent. He has no idea we actually exist. Try not to put the idea in his head.
Just keeps getting more interesting, doesn't it, kiddo? The Giovanni, the Kuei Jin. Lots of blood being spilled for a 10,000-year-old conversation piece, wouldn't you say? The streets, the hillsides, there's eyes and ears everywhere. I heard LaCroix has been talking to Beckett, too. Beckett's a skeptic about all this stuff. I just hope he knows to be careful dealing with that snake LaCroix. Well, Beckett's apolitical, you could say. He's just interested in the truth of our origins. Politics and all that is minor details to him. You do what you have to do. Kid, if you don't do it, somebody else will. You're in a good position to make a difference, Mr. Big Shot. A lot of kindreds wondering just which way you'll go. Sure thing, kiddo. Fire away. What's on your mind? Yeah, some of these younger anarchs got a real burning hate for the Kuei Jin. First time a lot of them seen full-on combat in the streets and seen their buddies dying was when the Asian invaders showed up. Yep, cost the anarchs San Francisco. They're tough. They're hard to get a beat on them. At least with Kindred, you pretty much know what to expect, what they're capable of. Kuei Jin? Full of surprises. Man, don't let them cloud your head with their mumbo-jumbo. That crap wasn't meant for you. We're different breeds, us and them.
Yes. Yes, this is genuine and of use to me. There is something resonating from it. A whisper. I will give you this in trade. It is known as the Odious Chalice. It swells with spilled blood and offers its bloat to its owner. Yes. The Voce del Morte. The Giovanni never willingly share their secrets, and I've had little success infiltrating their strongholds. How did you obtain this? It will take some time to translate and unlock the secrets of this. I will have to move on from the city to evade any Giovanni seeking it. Take this. This will complete the terms we agreed to, and I think it is adequate compensation. It is the key of Alamut. It instills dread in those that would harm you, and makes it harder for them to strike you. Make no mistake, our dealings do not make us allies. If indeed we meet again, do not ask me for any favors. I will give you this final advice, however. Leave this city. These are its final nights. Discord looms heavy. I've felt this before. In November of 1938, I was translating documents in Leipzig, Germany, written by a purported Crusades-era necromancer. There also, I felt a sense of impending chaos. Soon after was the Kristallnacht, the wellspring of a new world war.
I'm so glad you're back. I've been waiting forever. I've been kind of nervous. I can't feel you inside my veins anymore. I just need a little more, please. Master, just a few drops. But I have to go. I have class tomorrow, and my grandmother must be worried about me.
Did you find a way to open the sarcophagus? I can't have my protege looking plebeian, can I? You'll find I can be very generous towards those who serve me well. Point made. Witches. Traditionally, the Kuei Jin have stayed in Asian territory and the kindred Europe, and later North America. But recently, they invaded the West Coast, killing off a substantial number of anarchs. They lack the organization of the Camarilla and think nothing of breaking the Masquerade. Though we share similar traits, there is no fraternity between us. We embrace. They rise from the grave. They do not know the pleasure of blood. They are without clan. And oh yes, they believe our kind to be inferior. They are as much of a threat as the wolves. Werewolves. I can still recall a time when cities were surrounded by miles of forests full of the beasts. But progress has taken care of that problem. Witches? If you didn't take the time to ask, perhaps we'd know by now. As I mentioned before, my concern is that it pertains something supernatural. Though Beckett has waived this theory altogether. The city is alight with dread. Perhaps it's an antediluvian. A joke? The antediluvians are the mythical progenitors of each of the clans for whom they trace their bloodlines, and according to mythology, descendants of Cain, the legendary first vampire. As in the biblical Cain and Abel? Before you put too much stock in it, realize that the church and all of its mythos are blends of kindred and mortal meddling, whips to regulate weak minds. This is all Beckett's field of expertise. If you want a lesson, merely ask him.
No more fire. No fire. They've ruined my face. The fire, I can still feel it in my wounds. They'll kill me. They'll come back with their brands and it will burn. I wouldn't talk, so they burned me. Again and again and again. Their eyes, they enjoyed it. Before they come back, I'm begging you, let me out. They always come back, and it always burns. I once drank from the most desirable women in the world. Right now, this bag looks better than any of them. You'll never see me again. I'm gonna go somewhere no one will ever see this face again.
I knew Johansen would lure the servants of Satan, but I set this trap for the archfiend himself. Where is Lacroix? Perhaps when Lacroix runs out of minions, he will show me his face, and God will guide my shots through it. Before I send you to eternal damnation, any last words? You should have begged for God's mercy. I will show you none.
I told you everything. There's no reason for you to keep me here. Let me go! I am an archaeologist. You can't hold me here like this. I am a hostage. I do not need protection. Bring me back to my hotel at once. Yeah, okay. Anything, just get me out of these caverns and away from these crazies. I think I'm starting to get pneumonia. The sarcophagus? You went through all that trouble for the sarcophagus? Yeah, I'll tell you. But don't you think it would be better to get out of here before those men come back? I guess if you can get all the way here, you deserve the answers. But can I make one request first? After I answer your questions, you help me escape. All right, where should I begin? Let's start with the history of the Ankaran sarcophagus. That is a long and interesting legend, lost and found throughout the ages. Tell me, are you familiar with the Assyrians? Well, the Assyrians lived in Mesopotamia, a region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Most of this territory is now modern-day Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and Syria. They were warmongers, conquerors, a people driven to expand by their kings. Even before the Romans, they migrated their conquered people to the territories to stem revolt, but I'm afraid I'm getting off the subject. Well, the markings on the sarcophagus seem to hint that it is from sometime between 1050 and 800 BC, which was a period of fierce expansion by the Assyrians. Oddly, for those years, only one king shows up on the historical record. While most likely he wiped all evidence of his predecessor's existence or passed the name to his heirs, one monarch, Masquerade, the one-eyed king, is given credit for the territory and achievements of this time. But he would have had to have been over 250 years old, like Dracula or something. I find it hard to believe a sarcophagus with a person as important as Masquerade could remain in, pristine or intact condition for so many years, but this is who is believed to be contained within. An educated guess? Maybe you have not heard. It was stolen from the museum before we had a chance to open it. Usually we use equipment to carbon date, X-ray, and take air samples before we pry open the lid. You know, it is interesting that you ask me that. The goddess on the outside of the sarcophagus was Lamastu. In Assyrian myth, Lamastu was an evil demoness who preyed on humans. Many people cite her as the mother of vampire myth, and the engravings on and found around the sarcophagus portray a regal figure drinking the blood of his enemies. Now, this image is found in many cultures, specifically among those of royal lineage, but there is a quite scientific explanation. A disorder known as porphyria. In short, it is caused by a deficiency of the iron in the blood, and in many cultures, for the nobility that could conceivably get away with the cure, the treatment was to drink human blood. Perhaps drinking the blood of your enemies is, if nothing else, symbolic. It can inspire fear in your foes and dissidents. Don't misunderstand me. I in no way believe it was a vampire. Vampires, that's what caused this whole mess. These maniacs believe they exist. That is, you see, in archaeology, one can spend years looking for a dig site, following local rumors, studying old maps. It's a complicated process, very boring. Finding and organizing a dig is the least interesting part of an archaeologist's job. Trust me, you don't want to hear about it. That I can't be sure of, nor can anyone. But I promise you it is more likely to be filled with, gummy bears than vampires. Perhaps maybe a mummy, but not likely the kind to go about chasing Abbott and Costello. Not much, really. I'm an archaeologist, not a mythologist. But I do know that Lamastu, the Assyrian demoness, was thought to have been the inspiration for Lilith, the first wife of Adam in the Jewish Old Testament, another source of the vampire myth. Ah, quite interesting. There is a surprisingly complex mechanical lock on the face of the sarcophagus. By sheer luck, we were able to find the key not far from the sarcophagus. Why no one ever found it and robbed it? It's perplexing. How strange, you would ask. I haven't seen the key since it was loaded onto the Elizabeth Dane in Turkey. It was stolen before the sarcophagus even. I am still hopeful that the police find both pieces before the contents can be disturbed. No, it's not the kind of key you can copy at the hardware store. It's actually very sophisticated, and I meant to study it at the museum. I've answered all your questions. Do you think now you could please get me out of here? I don't care who you are or why you've had so many questions about the sarcophagus. I just want to leave this place. Thank you, my friend. I don't know where you came from, but I will never forget this kindness.
Your time of judgment is here.
With whom do they think they're dealing? Attack me in my own building! They're desperate. They've shown their weakness. A last-ditch attempt to steal the prize. The Sabbat, a pack of shovelheads with cheap pistols, was all they could muster. Two got a few stories up, but I took care of them. And my sheriff brought the rest their final death in the lobby. Sabbat animals. Why else? The motive of every kindred in the entire city these last few nights. The Ankaran sarcophagus. They've been misled into thinking the sarcophagus holds a sleeping ancient, their most coveted feasts. Diablerists. The Sabbat's infamy is in no small part due to their practice of diablerie, that is, drinking the blood of other kindred, especially older ones, until they are dead. Diablerists gain the power of those they've fed upon. And the Camarilla, this is an act punishable by death. For the moment, we've manipulated the press into reporting tonight's events as a terrorist attack. Their soldiers may be no danger to me, but their threat to the Masquerade is abundant. As my best agent, I'm sure you can guess my course of action. He has to remain here in case of further attack, and also to guard the sarcophagus. For this emergency, I need someone with your nerve to guarantee success. The Sabbat have been a threat to both of us for far too long. The Sabbat have made their haven at the Hallibrook Hotel, right under our noses here in downtown. Kill their leader. The rest will scamper out of the city. This is the last time they ever set foot in Los Angeles. Before you go, Beckett told me you went to the Society of Leopold. Did you find out how my sarcophagus is opened? What? What did you find out? A key? Where? Do you have it? Not only did you infiltrate the Society of Leopold, but you managed to kill their greatest hunter. You certainly are developing a legend for yourself. Superb. A toast to you, and to victory over the Sabbat. And to Bach. May all his progeny meet such fates. Here. Pity you don't have his head. I would have sent it to the Inquisitor General. The Sabbat must be wiped out before dawn. Then, when you come back, we'll begin the hunt for the key.
You can always count on the Sabbat to do the wrong thing for the right reasons. They're reckless, but they don't normally try to attract this much attention. This carelessness warrants observation. I hope it doesn't become pandemic. The Sabbat's goal is to stop Gehenna, which is very similar to my own, though they choose to do so through more violent, fanatic, and flamboyant methods. The Camarilla, on the other hand, suspends belief entirely, or so goes the party line. What I am is kindred. How others choose to categorize themselves concerns me only where local customs are concerned. Individualism is a path fraught with obstacles and sometimes angry mobs. But for all its hardships, it is the only one worth taking. What did Johansen have to say? The lock and key, an invention as ancient as greed. I should have guessed. All we have to do is find a victor in this nonsense. They'll be the one with the key. Assyrian origin. Glad to see I'm not losing my touch. As for Mesarach, I'll have to research that name, see what I can find. Lamastu? She was a Lilith figure. They represent empowered women and the threat of such women to male-dominated society. Strange she would be engraved on a king's tomb. It seems to corroborate my own evidence. I'm going to have to study it a little more, maybe dig up some information on Mesarach and the Lamastu myth. I'm certain the key will show up in time. Your information is appreciated. Excellent. It's simple. Someone's misled them into believing there's an antediluvian in this very room. They, and I suspect most kindred in this city, would love to sink their stakes or teeth into its imagined occupant, if indeed rocketing it to the moon was out of the question. Well, perhaps for this pack, it's for the best.
I recognize the smell of your blood, young Cainite. Very potent. Greater than our last meeting. I could smell it, even over the flood of my fallen brethren. Doesn't that make you wonder? Puppet! The strength of your blood is all that saved you from yourself. Wretched, weak-minded mongrel. The blood is wasted in you. Wasted! Miserable, ignorant cattle spawn. You are blind. The sarcophagus must be destroyed. I will do it myself if I must. And you will be purified. It is the blood that he is speaking through. The blood of all the pawns. It all must be purified.
Be at peace, kindred. You stand amongst friends now. Your foes all lie vanquished, kindred. I come to help. Be at peace. Trouble is nothing but yours to give. A true friend in death is as true love, precious, rare, and sweet. Pray your senses have not gone so languid that this blessing cannot be savored. We are in a position to help each other, yes. Is it impossible, then, that my admiration is genuine, kindred? Can friendship truly be founded on nothing? Or must there be nothing to gain in order for friendship to be true? The tongue lies limp and pasty if you're simply dead. Otherwise you would do well to savor these little graces. Your eyes are still able to take in my form and the blood still rushes hot to your skin. Must your organs die so selectively? I watch and wait for the time my path is meant to cross another. The how of it shall be more clear in a moment. Indeed, the Chang brothers, my greatest agents, undone by the young soldier of LaCroix, it was obvious your path was greater than I or he had anticipated. We did have an arrangement, LaCroix and I, a mutually beneficial pact to drive the lesser factions from the city. Again, kindred, I could not have guessed the significance of your path. My arrangement with your prince
was too sensitive to reveal. LaCroix's zeal in recovering the Ankaran sarcophagus has been to the exclusion of many relationships, mine included. And I, like yourself, have been used by him in his desperate quest for power. LaCroix feared Alistair Grout, the Malkavian primogen, for the cursed insight of his bloodline was strong and brought him uncomfortably close to the truth about LaCroix's ambitions. LaCroix saw an opportunity to rid himself of two problems, a hardened rebel leader and a problematic primogen, in one fell stroke. And as you can see, I was integral to his plan. LaCroix convinced me that an alliance with the Camarilla could strengthen the position of the Kuei Jin, and so with my help, your prince framed Nines Rodriguez for the murder of Alistair Grout. Yes, you were made to be the witness, for your political naivete put your word beyond reproach. No one would believe you devised such a story. LaCroix used you and once again turned a problem to his advantage. You need to understand that you are a liability, Kindred. Once LaCroix finds the right moment, you will be disposed of, just as he did with Alistair Grout, Mr. Rodriguez, your sire, and countless others. You are no more to him than an entry on his ledger, a sum of that which can be bled from you. Hear these words, Kindred. The sarcophagus is sealed against the ages. Only the proper key will break this seal. That key now lies safely in Kuei Jin hands. Your prince's prize cannot be had without it. I hope you recognize my sincerity, Kindred. I would like to see you reach your destination before your path is cut short. I hope when next we meet, it is again as friends.